I'm very excited that we're here for this exciting program, Modeling True Feminism. I'd like to introduce, she's now a dear friend of mine. I really didn't know her when she came a couple years ago, but now she is a dear friend, Chéri Ballinger. Chéri got her start in film while being discovered as a young girl, while being placed in the iconic 1998 remake of the Walt Disney classic, The Parent Trap. Yes. I mean, has everybody seen that movie? I mean, it's just amazing. She has worked in film steadily ever since, with her passion for a second chance after a life-suffering, severe traumatic brain injury that basically stopped everything for her, resulting in a recovery that took 4+ years. But that was a catalyst for her to basically transform not just her life, but the life of many others. And ever since then, she said, I'm going to be a film producer. Who does these things? Chéri Ballinger. Yes, Chéri. She has vowed to use her background, her faith, to bring people hope and to inspire change, not just through business, but the beautiful medium of film. We have seen this. The power of film can change minds and hearts, can't it? She is one of the executive producers of the movie Roe v. Wade. How many of you have seen that powerful pro-life movie? Round of applause. Chéri is currently working, I know of one, I can't say it, but she's working on several upcoming high-profile productions with the desire to have her name and talent associated with films that reflect her passion for life and storytelling. As many of you know, Chéri was here in 2021 to speak to our group. We were very privileged to hear of her comeback story and her message of hope and healing. And we're delighted for her return, where she will speak about how women need to embody the feminine spirit, which frankly is not just a way for them to have a source of strength for themselves, but it's a way really to empower men. As Chéri will share with us, we need to lift men up and not replace them. It's really important that we do this. Chéri will highlight the need for role models in our community and point to the ultimate example of femininity, who is our Blessed Mother. Please warmly welcome Chéri Ballinger.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Thank you so much for having me here again. With that beautiful introduction, Vicki, thank you so much. And also, Father, that was the perfect, I think, start to the evening. And that just really riled me up. And I felt like after your prayer, I feel like I can just say everything I want to say. You know, a lot has happened since I have been here. It feels like longer. I mean, I was here in 2021. But to be asked to be back here with you all, and I just want you all to know this group has a very special place in my heart. It was such a delight to be here the last time. It was my first time in Indiana, and you were all so very lovely. It made such an impression on me. And ever since then, I've been speaking around the world and doing all sorts of things. And so to be back here on this great feast day of Our Lady of Fatima, to me is incredibly special. I don't think there are any coincidences. I really do believe that our Blessed Mother wanted me to be here with all of you tonight, October 13th, because on this day, 106 years ago, was the miracle of the sun. And when our Blessed Mother said, I am the Lady of the Rosary. And I'm not going to share my story again because you all know it, but you know that I have a very special devotion to the Rosary because our Blessed Mother spared my life, and it was through the Rosary. And she really guides and directs everything that I do today. So I want to say, you know, there's a lot going on. There's a lot that has happened just in the last week, right? And so it was either yesterday or the day before, my dad said, Chéri, aren't you flying to like the East Coast or something really soon? When are you flying to the East Coast? And I know you're not the East Coast. It's like, this is the Midwest, right? Okay, I know. For us, it's the East Coast. And so I said, well, I'm flying on Friday. He goes, you know what day that is, right? And I said, Dad, I saw the news. It's the day of jihad. I saw the news. I get it. My dad's like, you're flying on that day. Did you see the news? Like, are you still going to go to Indiana? And, you know, I have a good dad. I'm the only daughter. I have 5 brothers. So anywhere I fly, my dad's like super, super concerned. I said, Dad, it's October 13th, the feast day of Our Lady of Fatima. I mean, if there's any day that I'm going to be flying, I want it to be that day. That's the day of jihad. And I said, of all the days, I am so happy it's that day. I said, come on, it's our Blessed Mother. He backed off. Okay, Chéri, okay. Because my devotion to her has only increased through the years. I love her so much. She is so real. And if only more people recognize that. But we know that, right? But that's why it's up to us to go out in our families, in our communities, in our parishes, at the grocery store, at the nail salon, wherever we are, and be the light. And that has just been an organic, motto that I came up with now, and I have been so blessed to be able to speak now everywhere, and everyone always says, what's your motto? And it came to be #be the light. It's pretty clear though, because that's what we're called to be. And Our Lady of Fatima, particularly this day, but our Blessed Mother in general, she really is our role model as women. You know, there's a lot going on in the world today, and it really just drives me nuts that people say, you know, the Catholics, like women are so suppressed and we're so oppressed and it's so terrible and we need more equal rights in the church. And what are they talking about? Who is the most elevated? It's our Blessed Mother, and for good reason. Let's be honest, the first miracle happened because our Blessed Mother told Christ, you better turn that water into wine. Right? That was because of her. Otherwise, we never would have had that first miracle happen. So there's a lot of power with that. And, God is so amazing. He really knows what he's doing because he knows that in our human frailties and weaknesses, that we need to have like these guide stones, if you will. We need to have this structure. And God did it so perfectly, like he does with everything. He gave the Virgin Mary, our Blessed Mother, as the role model for women. He gave Saint Joseph as the role model for men. He showed us the Holy Family. I mean, God could have made it any other way. He could have had it so that there was no Holy Family. He could have had it so that there was maybe just the Virgin Mary. Like, there's all different sorts of scenarios, right? But our Heavenly Father designs things so perfectly, and he places such a high, beautiful, it's like on a pedestal, right? What is it? Marriage and the family. And that's what brings me to, obviously, Our Lady of Fatima, because we know that Sister Lucia wrote in her final letter that the final battle with Satan is going to be what? It's going to be marriage and the family, because it's that important. I think it's safe to say that we're definitely seeing that now. There's brokenness all around us. There's brokenness in every single family. Everyone has been touched by this in one way or another. No one is untouched by this. But instead of giving in to just the negativity, the fear, everything that's going on. It's very easy to do. I'm not gonna lie. It's easy to be like just very like downcast about everything that we're hearing and stuff. But you know what? This is the time when saints are made. This is the time when beautiful miracles happen. It's times like this, just like Queen Esther, right? We were born for these times. And by the way, that was Queen Esther, right? A woman. So women play a very powerful role, but only when we are truly women, not when we try to be like men. And that's what we're seeing more and more. We're seeing women like so confused and men also confused, where for women's empowerment, it's to be more like men, whereas it's the opposite. To be more empowered as a woman, we need to be more of a woman. And men need to be lifted up and more of men. I mean, everyone is so confused these days. I mean, it's really like it's an epidemic. So I know a lot of you probably know this story, but there's a reason, so just hear me out. You know the serial killer, Ted Bundy? Okay, so back in 1978, he was going through that university in Florida. He went into a sorority house. He killed 2 students, 2 girls, and it was 3 a.m., and he goes to the next room, and when he sees this girl, he has every intention of murdering her. But something like a powerful force stopped him, and he bypassed her. Well, that girl had in her hands a rosary. And so when Ted Bundy was caught and he was imprisoned and all these things were happening, the police, asked this girl, obviously she was shaken up. She was not murdered. And she had told the cops, she had a rosary in her hand. She was so shaken up, she asked to talk to a priest. And it was this particular Monsignor. And so the Monsignor heard her story from her, the Ted Bundy came in to kill her, and he didn't. She did have a rosary in her hand, and she told the Monsignor that when she went off to college, she promised her mother that she would pray the rosary every night for protection before she went to bed. And that was a promise she gave to her mom. And so she told this to the Monsignor. So years later, when Ted Bundy was on death row, he asked to speak to a spiritual director. Guess what priest he spoke to? The same Monsignor. God is amazing, isn't he? He's got it all worked out, So he speaks to the same, what are the odds? The same Monsignor he speaks to. And he asked Ted Bundy, what was it that made you stop and not murder her? And he said, when I saw that rosary, and I had the knife in my hand and all the blood, he had just killed these 2 other girls. He said, it was like this powerful force that threw the knife out of his hand, and he was scared, and that's why he didn't murder her. Now, this story is absolutely phenomenal for many, many reasons. Obviously, I love the power of the rosary stories because, let's be honest, it is like Padre Pio said, it's a weapon, it's a sword in our hands, and it really, really is. I'm a testament to that. Everyone has their stories. The rosary is so powerful. It's so powerful. So this is a beautiful story for reasons like this. But what I want to talk about, though, why I share this story right now, is because I feel like people kind of miss the fact that the mom had her daughter pray the rosary, and the daughter promised her mom that she would pray the rosary every night before she went to bed when she went off to college. Now, you tell me, how powerful is that? Because that shows the beautiful bond that women have, especially mothers, right, and grandmothers and spiritual mothers, to pass on the wisdom and the beauty of our faith to others, in particular their own kin. If this daughter didn't have her mom, who clearly put in her heart that this was the thing to do when she went off to college, she promised her mother this would have been a very different story, right? I feel like people miss this aspect of the story because we as women, guess what? We hold all the power. We really, really do. We are the gatekeepers in society. And the world will have you believe that that's not the case, that we are so oppressed and we need this bizarre feminism that is common today where it's like no one knows what they are and we must be men and we want equal. No, that's what Satan wants us to believe. Because the reality is that we actually hold all the power. He doesn't want us to recognize how much dignity and wonderful, beautiful grace that we have as women. God is so good in his divine plan for everything in life. There's a quote from Fulton Sheen that I love, and when I was talking to Vicki about this, and I want to just say it verbatim, so I have it saved here. Because when we were speaking about this, I said to Vicki, this is my favorite quote, and this is something that I reference often. He says, the higher a woman's virtue, the more noble her character, the more devoted she is to truth, justice, goodness, the more a man has to aspire to be worthy of her. The history of civilization could actually be written in terms of the level of its women. Now, I think that quote sums up things so nicely. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen the movie My Big Fat Greek Wedding. Okay, so there's a scene in there where the mom is helping her daughter and they're trying to get her dad on board to like what she's doing. And she's like, Mom, what are you doing? Like, Dad's never gonna say yes, And then she goes, the man is the head, but the woman is the neck. And she turns the head whichever way she wants to. Now, I often reference this movie quote with my dad and brothers because it's actually true. It's so true. And the world will have us believe that we have no power, that we have to be more masculine, and we have to demasculinize men in order to be more powerful. But what people need to realize and what women need to realize is that the more feminine we are, the more we look to our Blessed Mother as our role model, the more that we are warm, that we are loving, that we are kind, that we are giving, compassionate, all of the beautiful qualities that embody a good woman of virtue. That is nothing compared to what a man can do. We are beautifully different. And that's a good thing. This whole equating thing, listen, I have 5 brothers. We are not the same. We are not the same. Guys just operate on a totally different plane. It's like the whole thing, like, what is it? Women are from Venus, men are from Mars. It's so true. There's a reason why we have these sayings. They come from somewhere. But it's a beautiful thing that we're different. And so we need to embrace that. But more importantly, once we understand this, we really have to go out and we have to share this with others, because I'm finding that this younger generation, I really feel bad for them. I really, really do. It's pretty tough, right? It's pretty tough. And nobody knows what they are anymore. We actually have schools, and I'm sure you guys have heard this before, but this just freaks me out every time. There's schools where teenagers are saying that they are like dogs, and they're having or cats, and they're having cat litter boxes in the restroom for them because they identify as an animal. How horrific. That's where we're at. That's where we're at. I don't mean to be my talk and what you're gonna leave from after this is you're gonna feel hopeful and positive, okay? But we just have to address what's going on first, okay? Because it is so horrific. That's where we're at right now. How horrible is that? And for all of the kids who are growing up and they feel insecure, they're trying to find themselves. You all remember what you felt like when you were teenagers and young. You're learning, you're growing. It's tough enough to be young. It's tough enough to be growing up. Now they have all of this perversion, all of this just psycho stuff going on that's so evil that has infiltrated all the schools. It's on social media, it's in the music, it's in movies, which is why, making good movies again. We have to take action. We have to address these things because you know what? These kids, the next generation, they deserve that. We only get this one beautiful life. So it's like, what are you going to do with it? God really does expect from us our best. He loves us so much, and with knowledge comes responsibility. So when we see these things happening around us in our communities, in our schools, in our families, we have to do something. So there's things that we could do. So for women, especially for girls and everyone who has daughters, granddaughters, nieces, boys too, but I know there's guys in here, but we're talking about the women tonight. We have to share with them that it is a beautiful, noble thing to embrace our femininity. And there's a lot of little things that we can share with them in order to do this. And there's definitely a need for this, and I really feel like we're on this cusp of the pendulum just swinging the other way because I am big on social media, so I see these things, and I'm seeing such a desire and such a really huge movement, right? Everything from YouTube channels to Instagram channels and speakers of girls and women saying how to be elegant, how to be feminine. There are so many popping up now. That just tells you something. There's a need. We know this, but how beautiful though is that this is popping up. Girls now, there's been a few generations where they just don't even know what to do. There's been no role models. They haven't been told that there's such an empowerment with really embracing your femininity, being the gatekeepers, lifting men up, having our Blessed Mother as role model. What happened to etiquette, manners, little things like this. And what I would say is that it starts a lot of times when we do things externally, it kind of like creeps in on the inside, especially for the youngsters. And so I would say, challenge them to wear a dress. Maybe start small. Everyone's different. Everyone's on a different level here. It's bad out there. But you know what? If we start telling girls, try to wear more dresses. See how you feel. Take a little bit better care of yourself. See how you feel. And then girls start to feel more confident, right? They start to see, it's a beautiful thing to be a woman. Because then the next thing you know is that really inspires men to be men. Now, we're so far gone out there that let me tell you something. If I travel in a dress, it's ridiculous. The amount of just, how do I say this? Everyone wants to help me. It's amazing. I'm not even joking. So I was on a flight. It was just within the state of California, but we're kind of big over there. So I was literally just flying from Napa down south, where I'm from, and I left Mass, and I was so on a time crunch, and I didn't have time to change. And I don't usually wear a dress when I fly. I really don't, And I just didn't have enough time to change. So I still had a dress on from Mass, and I thought, just screw it, I can't miss the flight. I can't miss my flight. So I'm like, oh, whatever, I was just beyond. So I get to the counter, and it's like men and women were saying, oh, that's a lovely dress. That's a beautiful dress. And it was just a regular dress. I mean, it was not anything special at all, at all. And it was extremely modest. I was just at Mass. And then I noticed that like I was walking through the airport and you would not believe, and I'm talking, I think maybe more women actually than men stopped me and said, I love your dress. It's a beautiful dress. I started feeling so good about myself, way better than what I felt earlier in the day because I was really tired. I was like getting a little cranky, you know. I started feeling amazing. And so then I go onto the airplane and there's, the flight attendants, and there was a man and a woman. They both were like, oh, you look so lovely today. You know, how can we help? I was getting so much beautiful, warm energy and attentiveness, and everyone wanted to help me. Also, the respect, right? Respect is a huge thing. Younger girls now don't even know what that is. What a shame. But the little things like wearing a dress, I mean, that's where we're at now. We've got kids thinking they're dogs. I mean, we can start with the dresses, you know? But little things like that make a huge difference. They just do. And then, just in my own example here, I started to feel so good. I felt like amazing. By the time I got home, with all of the compliments and the help, and I never had to lift a finger for my bags. It's like I started thinking, I wonder if I should wear a dress every time I fly. Can I do that? I don't know. I get really cold on the plane, and I don't want to be. So, but now, to be honest, every time I'm flying, it does cross my mind. Should I put on a dress? Can I make that happen now? Because it was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. But that's where we're at now, because so few people are used to seeing a feminine woman. A feminine woman. It's as simple as that. And why don't we tell the young girls that just smiling and being pleasant, just simple things like that. You know the adage, you catch more flies with honey? Again, that's another little quip that there was meaning behind that. You know, these things do come from somewhere, you know, and it's true. You know, we have this, I say epidemic, but it's like girls are told now that they need to be these, you know, I'm going to say bitchy, you know, boss babes. And, you know, they're thinking that they feel empowered with this kind of sentiment and this kind of attitude, when in reality, that is so far from the truth. Just being warm and kind and being polite, having manners, smiling. How many people just aren't smiling anymore? I mean, granted, a lot of people are unhappy, and I get it, you know, but this is part of it, right? It's because nobody knows who they are anymore. Men aren't men and women aren't women. So I think like we'll all be a lot happier when we figure that out, right? So smiling more, encouraging girls to really just, you know what, hold your tongue. You know, sometimes, you know, I'm a very strong personality, and I grew up with all my brothers. And, you know, sometimes you just want to say it, right? No, hold your tongue. Just practice the pause. Practice the pause. And you know what? It does wonders. It does wonders. Just like wearing the dress at the airport. Little things here and there. We need to go out and we need to share this, especially with the youth. But it starts with us. It starts with us as an example. Now, you're not going to, I get it, you're not going to wear a dress every time you go to the grocery store. But you know what? Start little. Because you'll find that it does affect your attitude. Now, when Sister Lucia said the final battle is with marriage and the family, we see this in marriages, right? When women are so quick to temper, so quick to cruelty, what has happened? They've become so much more like men. Whereas if you really want the guy to do something, trust me, if you're just bite your tongue and be sweeter, like he will be more likely, and I'm just being general here, guys. I know, like there's a lot of different situations and stuff. But what I'm saying is overall, it would really be helpful if more women embraced this aspect of womanhood. Our Blessed Mother, in the writings of Catherine Emmerich, she wrote a lot about the disposition of our Blessed Mother, how she was very clean. She was very, my mom always tells me this. She always brings up how she wrote that our Blessed Mother would perfume her tassels. It's all in the details. Because God wants us to embrace our femininity. That's what makes the world go round. When we have strong marriages and families, that is the cornerstone and the foundation of society. And it is so broken now. But you know what? It's not beyond repair, because no one is beyond repair for God. No one is. And so there's solutions to this that we can utilize, and that's one of them. And I see a lot of these accounts that are popping up, and I'm going to share with Vicki just a list of them. So if anyone is interested, can utilize them, because I would really love it if it starts with us, if we can start doing little things like this, but then go back to our families, our communities, and our parishes and our homes, and really just empower the women in our lives this way, because this is true empowerment. This is what it's all about. So Our Lady of Fatima, she's so powerful, and she really is the one that we have to look up to in these times. And I get very emotional, because it's true, the rosary is just, it's a weapon in our hands. And so the more that we promote that, the better our society will be as well. And honestly, I just feel like if every one of us went out there and promoted that, what a difference we would see in our world. I'm sure all of you have experienced all the things that are going on out there, and especially with this week, and we see like the need for peace and stuff. But did you guys see the Eucharistic procession that happened in New York City? Isn't that amazing, right? Over 5,000 Catholics went through Times Square during rush hour. It started with Mass at St. Patrick's Cathedral, and then they did a Eucharistic procession. I just found out today when I was flying that, the singer Gwen Stefani, she apparently came out publicly and said, wow, beautiful and bold. That's someone you never would expect to come out and even remark on anything Catholic, let alone a Eucharistic procession through New York City. So what does that tell me? When I was flying today, I thought, that shows us just how much people are watching. People are watching. We are called as Catholics to truly be that light in the world. And people you aren't expecting to be watching are watching. It's up to us. We have an obligation as Catholic women. And what a great grace and what a great honor that God has bestowed upon us to be women. We're not just women. Another thing I share with people is we are daughters of the King, right? So that makes us royalty. So we have to behave that way. I remember growing up, and at my private school I went to, it was super strict and super hard, and I hated it. And, I was really upset at my parents. And now, all these years later, I'm so unbelievably thankful for that, because it really made me who I am, and it really gave me the knowledge of my faith and everything. So I'm really grateful for that. But one of the things that they would always say in school is, when you go to Mass, you're going to worship the King, right? So if you were invited to London to see King Charles, right, how would you dress? Right? And he's just King Charles. We have the King of the universe, and we get to have him in the Eucharist. So how would we dress for the palace, which is our parishes, which is our church, which is in front of the Eucharist? We have to think in our minds, we are representing our King. How are we going to do that? People are watching. People are watching. And that's why it starts with us. So maybe you're the only one in your parish that starts dressing a little bit better for Mass. Trust me, it catches on. It really does. People start to see that. They think, you know what? That looks really good. It's like the airport, right? I mean, all these women complimented me. So more women than men. So that tells you something. So you will be able to inspire all the other women in your parish and how we adore our King. See, we've gotten so lax in the world and also in our church, and that is a shame. It's a shame. We have the synod going on. We have women saying that they should be priests and it's about time and blah, 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 blah. It drives me nuts. I can't believe it because we have been bestowed so much dignity as women, as daughters of the King, with our Blessed Mother, the ultimate role model. No one else gets our Blessed Mother. We have her. And you want to be priests? That's for guys. That's for the guys. That's from the order of Melchizedek, who was a man. And there's only two genders, men and women. Right? I love the joke, right? God created Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. We wouldn't be here otherwise. And so, it just boggles my mind. But again, that's where we're at right now. So what do? We recognize that that's where we're at. That's what's happening. And what do? We take action and we rise up and we say, no. We have the beauty of our faith, the tradition and beauty of our faith handed down from Christ. We have our Blessed Mother as a role model as women. We do not want to be more like men. We want to be more like women, embracing our femininity because that is our superpower. And we need to let them, and then guess what happens when that happens? What happens is the men then want to become more like men. That's just a beautiful byproduct of this. Because when the women tend more towards the feminine, then men because remember what Fulton Sheen said? It causes men to rise up to be worthy of the women. That's the power that we hold. We're the neck, remember? So it matters, it does matter. And I don't know, this is not really controversial. In some places it is controversial. But I feel like after I heard Father, I feel like I could say this. But, girl altar servers. No, right, Father? No. It drives me nuts. It drives me nuts. I'm just going to say it. It's terrible. It's terrible. I have 5 brothers, and all my brothers were altar servers. Well, I remember when they started putting the girls in and stuff, it makes the boys not want to be altar servers anymore. And then what ends up happening is that it's a domino effect, and then that's why we lose vocations. So all of those young souls who otherwise have a vocation for Christ are lost because why? We want to insert the girls into the boys' place. It's terrible. When is someone going to speak out about this? We have to be the ones that speak out about this. We have to be real women, but we have to guide the girls in this as well. These poor girls are just so misguided. There's just no rudder out there. So, again, we just acknowledge what's happening, but there is solutions. There are solutions, and we have them. But we have to take action, and we have to rise up, and we have to be the light. Start dressing more. Start being sweeter and kinder. Make people wonder what church you go to. That's something that naturally happened with me, is that when I was restarting my life, I know, Vicki, I can talk forever. I'm going to wrap it up. Okay. When I was restarting my life, I was just, it was so hard. It was just so hard. It was so hard. But someone gave me one of the best pieces of advice, and it was, If you don't focus on your own problems and you just every day think, okay, what can I do to help someone else every day? Then pretty soon you just forget about your own problems. And then a beautiful byproduct of helping other people is that beautiful things start happening for you. And you don't do it for that reason. It makes you feel good and you don't worry about your own problems anymore. So imagine as women, if we start doing that more and embracing our femininity, because that's what I started doing. And I started seeing such a transformation in my life. And I recognized that the more I was a woman, because I want so badly with this second chance at life I've been given from our Blessed Mother, I want so badly to be worthy of what she did for me. And so I started just naturally becoming more feminine. And it just so happens that, I'll wrap with this. It just so happens that I'm on this major movie that I'm working on, and I'm like, out of a team of 7, I'm the only woman. And the reason why is because they respect me, and I have always been just very true to my faith and myself, and they really respect me for that. And for that reason, I'm also the only one they've never slept with, all of them. And so, that comes into play. And, I'm talking Hollywood here, and it's a big team of high-powered Hollywood men. And guess what? When we go places, guess who gets all the... It's me. I get the respect and everything, all the bells and whistles. But it's because I've embraced my femininity, but that's thanks to our Blessed Mother, because she spared my life, and I want so badly to please her and be like her as much as possible. I mean, none of us could be like her. She's beyond anything, but we have her as our role model. And so it's not doom and gloom. There's solutions. There are things we could do. I love that there's younger people here too. And I just challenge everyone in this room to just feel this hope and positivity. Go put on a dress and some lipstick. Be sweeter. Go to the grocery store and help people wherever you are in your families. And it starts at home, right? It starts at home. The more loving we are, if you want your husbands and your sons and grands, all the men in your life to do things, remember that honey, it works. It works. Honey works. So I just want to just say again, just embracing our femininity is really our superpower. Becoming more like women is better than trying to be more like men. And the more that we just go out there and share this with others, the more you'll see it really does have an effect, because people are watching and we have to be the light. And so I want to thank you all for having me here today. And just remember, God knows what he's doing. And I truly do believe that the times that we're living in now, we're all called to usher in the reign of the Immaculate Heart of Mary. And that is very, very significant, the times that we're living in. Because remember, at the end of the day, we know who wins, right? That's why we have nothing to fear. That's why we can have Eucharistic processions through New York City, and who cares? Who really cares? It's the reason why today's the day of jihad. Bring it on, right? Bring it on. We have our Blessed Mother, and it is up to us, and I want you guys to join me in ushering in the reign of her Immaculate Heart. So, to Jesus through Mary, thank you for having me, and let's be better women together. Oh my God, I'm sorry.
Thank you so much, Chéri. Wasn't she fabulous? Absolutely fabulous.